Australian minerals explorer Potash West has today made a significant announcement on improved economics at its Dinner Hill potash and superphosphate project in Western Australia. Joining us today is Managing Director Patrick McManus, who will provide more detail on this announcement and what it means for the world-class WA asset. Patrick, thanks for your time today.
Good morning, Luke, and thanks for inviting me.
Patrick, can you provide us with some detail on the Dinner Hill project?
Well, Dinner Hill is part of a bigger project area called the Dandaragan Trough, and the Dinner Hill region is about 60 square kilometres of that region. It's about 220 kilometres north of Perth, roughly equal distance between Perth and Geraldton. An area of great infrastructure in terms of roads, power, rail, and access to ports, which is the sort of thing we need for a industrial minerals project.
Now, Potash West has just reported the results of a new scoping study that you've undertaken at Dinner Hill. What is the difference between this and previous studies that you've undertaken there?
We've done two studies on the Dinner Hill region already. This is the third one. The first one was looking at producing potash, phosphate, aluminium sulphate via our proprietary K-Max process, targeting the glauconite horizons, which are very extensive in that area. That was completed in early 2013. We then continued on and did a second scoping study looking at the phosphate-rich horizon, which is immediately above the glauconite, and that was completed in late 2013, which showed a smaller capital cost requirement of about 140 million versus about 650 million, and lower risk, so it's a more attractive project as a start-up project. Importantly, both of those scoping studies looked at independent operations. So this one is the first one that's integrated the two.
Patrick, how will that phased approach work?
Well, the phosphate horizon is immediately above the K-Max horizon, or the glauconite, which goes into the K-Max process. So the staged approach would be to start up a phosphate project and producing single superphosphate. We've assumed to continue that on for 5 years and then bring in the stage 2 K-Max process. The phosphate project itself, costs or capital cost requirements about $135 million, will generate $45–50 million a year of free cash flow, and some of that free cash flow could then go on and be the equity component of the $590 million requirement for the stage 2 capex. Bringing the two projects together then gives us a lower risk, lower capital startup, just producing single superphosphate, and we can time our entry into the K-Max process a lot more finely depending on the market, and then end up with an operation that will go on for over 20 years based on the known indicated resources, generating over $200 million a year EBITDA. The other important aspect to remember about that Dinner Hill, or the current Dinner Hill project, is that these financial numbers are based on about 10 square kilometres of Dinner Hill. The whole Dinner Hill area is about 60 square kilometres, and on that we have an exploration target of 1 to 1.5 billion tonnes, so significantly greater than the current indicated resource. And then there's still the rest of Dandaragan Trough that's available for further developments.
And what are the next steps for the company?
Within the Dandaragan Trough, we will be looking to complete the Definitive Feasibility Study for phosphate production at Dinner Hill, and to that end we'll be drilling on Dinner Hill in this quarter to delineate the final mining area. In our German exploration project, we have exploration licence applications in for the South Harz region, which is a potash producing region in central Germany. They were due to be granted to us late last year, so we're looking forward to those applications being received in the next few weeks.
What is the forecast for the potash and the superphosphate markets?
Well, the long-term and the medium-term and long-term markets for those fertiliser products is driven by demand, where world population is seen to be growing strongly still for many decades. The arable land will not increase at the same rate, so there will be an increasing pressure to produce more food from less area. One of the most effective ways of meeting those demands is the use of fertilisers, and in particular the natural fertilisers of potash, phosphate and nitrogen. So we, along with a lot of other industry players, foresee a strong growth in demand and hence pricing for those two products.
Patrick McManus, thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much, Luke.